and unfortunately we don't have an APPR update because the union was supposed to get us the newest update today and did not.
Okay.
It wasn't local here, folks, it was nice it didn't send it. What happened, just to let people know, is we had 3 changes last week, and then on Friday we found another change. So we can't change the document, only NYSEG office can. So we have
Changes that came from the state.
3 of the things were state changes, and for example, one of the observations for teachers has to be unannounced. So we had to put that in to the APPR that was already signed. But the last one actually was just a wording change, and we can't change it. NYSEG has to type it in. So I was hoping to get it done today.
We want to do the principal reports. Most of this stuff looks like it's going to be superintendent goals.
Do you want to do your reports first, and then we can do goals?
Okay, well, I wanted to just spend a few moments discussing 2 of the big arms of the massive Regents reform agenda that are really taking shape in big ways, at least in the elementary, but really across the school as well. First is the idea of data-driven instruction, and the second is the selected evaluation rubric that teachers will now be working with. So, just briefly, the way that data-driven instruction is taking shape pre-K through 6 is through 3 annual assessment periods. So you can't evaluate data if you don't have any. And the only way to get data is to assess students. Which is a little bit painful sometimes to say because we know that students are getting tested a lot. But with that in mind, in an effort to make sure that all of their performances actually have meaning, those assessment periods would kind of look like this. There's a fall baseline measure, and then a data team analyzes all of the results. And then grade level meetings take place so that remedial placements can take place. There's a winter testing window, which we are calling progress monitoring. There's another data team analysis of the results. There'll be another set of grade level meetings for remedial placements. Either students who are continuing to need remediation, primarily in ELA and math, or students who can move out of the remediation program in a way to look at the trends of what is it students still in the middle of the year need the most remediation with. At the end, or the late spring assessment window, those are the summative measures. They're all the same tests. The data team analysis takes place again. The grade level meetings would take place in order to make recommendations on placement for the following year. And in all this mixes the idea of data team. And really the data teams on the elementary level consist primarily of the AIS specialists. They're the human resource we have with the most flexibility to more or less stop everything, analyze, put information in a friendly format for people to understand, do the test item analysis that comes out of the testing software. Hopefully, if it's ever released, do the test item analysis that comes out of the state assessments, so that we have a pretty broad understanding and a pretty accurate understanding of what our students need remediation in. It takes a while to do that. They're the most flexible and can cease remediation for upwards of a week to make sure that we're guiding students in the way they need to be guided, and to make sure they're actually improving in whatever areas they're they're deficient in. So it's really a look the long term. There are lots of different ways that data-driven instruction takes place. The fellow who kind of wrote the big data-driven instruction book is a principal at a charter school where every single move of every single teacher can be very finely orchestrated sometimes. So he's got a model that doesn't necessarily apply in our public school setting, but I think we're pretty fortunate with the human resources and the software resources that we have to get a really accurate understanding of what our students' needs are. So that's kind of where we are with what you may hear referred to as DDI, data-driven instruction. And the other big giant hand of the reform agenda is the evaluation. And here, the Robert Marzano causal, whatever it's called now, effective teaching model of teacher evaluation is our model. And what I've begun with the elementary teachers is a broad overview of the kind of evaluation system it is. The Marzano model is unique in that it's really descriptive exactly of what it is we're looking for in a teacher. It would be unfair to call it a checklist, but it's got really special language about teaching strategies. It's got really particular expectations of what teaching looks like, and that's a humongous shift for teachers who probably in the end are employing all of these effective strategies, but they have a new name. And that takes a while to wrap your head around and not make you feel really what I read to be a lot of discomfort and anxiety. But you really have to study the Robert Marzano model and understand where he's coming from. And that'll take us quite a while, but we put aside half an hour a week, and I'll try and find some extra time when we have professional development days to go in depth, because there are a lot of questions. It's a good model though, and I think that it promises to have a lot of really positive effects. But there's a pretty steep learning curve and a pretty big cultural shift. So that's what's going on in the elementary school.
I would say at the high school level, the process of the SLOs and LLOs has been very difficult for some teachers, and the anxiety levels are pretty high right now. And as teachers come in and we talk about it, as I meet with them, I see a lot of tears in the eyes with the stress that's going on for our teachers. I say to them, when I went to May, and I was, that's when the administration was deep into training and learning and, processing. And I came back and it's like my head is a whirlwind. Well, they're experiencing that whirlwind and having to teach at the same time. So October 1st is the deadline, and I think that in our particular case in the high school, we have more, we're not all doing the same local assessment, and a lot of the pre-K to 8 are using the STAR reading, STAR math, and we're coming on to up to about 9th, 10th, are starting to see that, but a lot of people are having to make individual decisions, and it's kind of hard for them because there's some direction, we've turnkeyed whatever we've been given to them, but there still aren't solid rules, there's still changing information and stuff like that comes to us. But we're getting there, and the teachers, as far as within the classroom, are staying focused on what they need to get done while trying to figure out what should they be using for pre-assessments, what should they be using for Sunday, what should they be targeting, So it's a real anxious time. You can see it. I mean, the teachers, you can see it in the ones that are most worried about it. Sue and Amy and I all went to Canton last week and worked on the APPR review, which is a form that we have to send on to the state for approval for our APPR plan. And there's a timeline, so we're feeling a crunch there. So when teachers, well, couldn't we have it's like, no, because we have to do what we have to do. So it's trickling down and it's hitting more people than it hit in the spring when we were going through this. That's pretty much it. Other than that, behavior-wise, school tool-wise, I think there's been a positive. We have a lot of new things this year, and school tool is one of them. The teachers are appreciating school tool that has become it's a friendly, user-friendly program, and they're picking up on it. And I think that that's a bright spot right now as far as changes. That was a good change. And of course, that was a change that came from within our school, not somebody pushing it down on us. As we're trying to figure out programming for the year, we're trying to blend what we've been putting in as far as arts and music and, theater and the cultural things, keeping in mind that every time we take a student away from their instructional period, that teacher is feeling like I'm losing minutes and I've got to have my minutes in order to get my kids to where I need to get them so that my club, it all wraps together. But we're trying to talk about how do we balance those things. So I have things that are coming in. We have an arts and education program coming in October from Rick Adam is doing a tour, and the topic is Resolving Rage, a positive message that captivates the audience with original songs, a winning style, and personal experiences. Rick offers tools for dealing with peer pressure, dissipating prejudice, developing empathy, releasing frustration, and managing anger. And with the DASA, we've talked about that and that new rule and how we have to address these things. And this is one way that we'll be meeting that criteria, and that's for our 9th through 12th graders. Last year, we had a beneficiary that paid for us to have a 3-day residence shared with Clifton Fine in the area of music and concerts and workshops, it truly was a fabulous experience for our kids. And the beneficiary pays for it is through BOCES, so it's at no cost to us for the 2nd year. And the topics are kind of like some suggested topics: the physics of music, that's for 11th and 12th graders; the Pied Piper and Other Fantastic Tales, K2. So they have woven curriculum into their presentations for all the grade levels. So because my Rick Adams is 9 to 12, probably the extra workshops will go like 5 to 8 and K to 4, so that we offset things. We've got Potsdam's Traveling Youth Theater that we'll bring in again. I know at my level they're doing Hamlet. I think, is it something about divorce something?
Yeah.
For the elementary. So we'll bring that in. I mean, they're all relevant topics that kids need exposure to, other than just being focused on academics. And the last thing that I have coming in, I've let my teachers know, and it's called Project Challenge Day, and it's a group of people that come in and they do interventions with kids and adults that make them aware of what other people are really feeling and going through, and the schools that have done it have said it has made a true difference in the climate of their school and how kids treat each other. So that's going to be a 2-day program for us in February that we will use our 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders for. Because it's that late in the year, I didn't want to, I don't want to say it's not important for the seniors, but it's going to be more productive for us to do it 8, 9, 10, 11, roll it over. So other than that, when we did our reflection, as a staff on things that we did last year, some of the people did comment they want to keep the community service day in, and what I'm wanting to switch to is that classes have a freedom to do it instead of waiting until April, to do it earlier in the year. Maybe Christmas is a better time for some community service class activities or whatever each group wants to do, but still each will maintain the attitude of doing a community service. So I think that's about all.
A couple things in your packets included, one was just the dates. I thought you might want to all just jot those dates down now for legislative breakfasts and dinners and lunches and end-of-the-year meetings. And we got them early, so feel free to put them in your calendars, and when it's time, we'll nag you again to see who's going to be going to which of the events. that was the one for the St. Martin's School Association. Frank did go for a week and collected numbers on buses. You can pretty much see where they were mornings and afternoons for that week. What we'll do is we'll wait a couple more weeks and then we'll do a count again for another whole week to see where things stay. The 3 buses that we talked about are still crowded. Those are the 3 main buses that have the most kids on them. So we'll wait a little bit, see what happens, see how things shake out when people, start to drive more or change routes. So I just wanted to show you those numbers because we had talked about that. Michelle touched on just a little bit the review room window that we worked on. It's probably taken us in total about 14 hours to do the report to be able to send our APPR into the state, believe it or not. I would say it's about 14 hours and about 37 pages right now of data that we had to fill out. So we did finish it.
10 checks for Sue and 2 for Amy and I.
Yeah, we won't say it. Most of that. However, mine were like 4 things on a page, and then I looked at theirs today, and wow, now I feel really bad all night. Every time I got another check, but it was still fun.
Yes, it was.
Oh, good.
But it,
Actually,
it's
and
just
also,
amazing.
Steve said that we accomplished more in our day of work over there than any group that had come in. So we really spent our time wisely.
And to get it done in just about a day and a half was pretty amazing. I am going back to meet with Steve on Thursday. We will go through it, as he says, with a fine-tooth comb, and then we'll be submitting it to the state. The thing that still kills me in all of that, you have the whole APPR document that we've signed and changed and signed. You don't even send the document. You send us, as I said, about 37 pages of questions, and then you have to re-repeat things and re-put it back on, and it's kind of crazy, but we'll have ours in on time. So we were pleased with that. I've talked a couple times about the nurse's office. Right now, we do have substitute nurses working because of the situation, and I wanted to make everybody aware we are still having a tough time with 911 calls, which obviously make it very hard to keep the office up and running when we have the ambulance coming in a couple of times a week. So I'm just mentioning that. Not having the clinic here every day also eats into that time, and it's still prevalent.
When is our person in the clinic leaving?
Probably at the end of October, I want to say. And they have no idea. They are looking for someone. I don't know if we'll get another temp or if we'll just be shut down till they find someone. I am not in the loop of that. So, as we say, here we go again. When we chose to stay with them this year because of the mental health person, obviously, we could have anticipated that the person was going to resign the day after we signed the contract.
Right.
But that is what happened. So,
Did you say the other parts of the program will be in place?
yes, the counseling, but the
Okay.
counseling's the only other part.
Right.
But for us, that's about 20 hours a week. We have a full-time mental health specialist here. Some of the parents are much more likely to hook on into Carthage's mental health than our own, because there's less stigma. You can walk into the clinic, no one knows why you're there.
Right.
So it makes a difference. Let me just look at my list. We do have our goals. I asked Amy if she could just talk a little bit tonight. We're putting together a shared decision-making committee amongst the elementary, the high school, with the community, and Lee's our head as our intern. And we need a board representative. If somebody wants to, we don't have to have one, but we're inviting you. So maybe if you want to talk a little bit about that committee.
So, our current shared decision-making plan needs some updating. So the first part that Sue was asking me to work on as the beginning of my internship duties is to revise our plan, and get started with that. And then after the plan has been revised, the board approves it, then we would fully establish the committee itself. So we would like to have at least one board member that would be willing to participate in the planning of that. I'm assuming that the meetings will be, or probably around 3:15. I'm hoping that the rest of the group could be flexible so that if we could work around people's schedules. I know that would make it difficult for those people that, work in the afternoons. But if possible, if someone were interested, could let Sue know or let myself know so that I can put you in the loop with the emails when we, could get started.
And we're looking at about once a month meeting.
Right. Yes. And, I assume there could be a small amount of homework associated with that, because in order to make this move forward quickly, that means the meetings need to be efficient and come back with new ideas and issues that we want to resolve, and hopefully that, once a month, I don't even want to say, I'll be for maybe, 1 to 2 hours at that amount of time, and we can get it taken care of and get started. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thanks.
In front of everyone, you will find a new policy manual. This is only the district policy manual, it is not the administrative policy manual that needs to be redone as well. I know a couple of people here at the table said they did not want a manual, they only wanted a CD. Does anyone here want to turn their manual over and we'll hand you a CD tonight?
Yes.
Okay, buddy, whoever takes it, then just leave your book when you leave. And we do have more CDs if people would prefer, so don't be shy.
This is the same.
Yes.
Material, same page.
Same thing.
This,
Wow.
or this?
Okay.
This is only one of them.
Mandy has graciously volunteered as the head of the policy committee, I guess I'll say, to start re-reviewing. We've already gotten some new ones that have to go into this book. So she will be starting that shortly, and then we'll talk about with the board meetings as well. I hate to bring up the administrative manual, but I'm going to throw that back to you folks. It is technically the job of the board to do the manuals. When we started this project, like a year and a half ago, 2 years, maybe? Not even sure, it seems like about 10. The administrators actually each took groups, and we broke up 3 board members with every administrator and then ran through them all. But I hate to take all that fun away from you folks. So we need to figure out, because our administrative manual is well overdue. It's been years.
What was the period that, for reviews, every so many years, each manual needs to be reviewed and updated, or is it?
Well, as new policies come out, they should be being reviewed as they come out. So now we are completely up to date with this, and Andy has
There's a
probably
stack of them this high.
already better have come out. And now, what I asked her to do was to give me the list today of what's in here that's in that box. You know what I mean? So some of them could be duplicates of this part,
Okay.
but she's going to send me that, so you may not have to go through them all.
Okay, good.
So this just remains as a living document?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and in your spare time, you might run read 10 or 20 a week.
I read it once.
We do need to
Really?
consider, and
We need to
there is a
read
cost.
Well, anyway.
There is a substantial cost when we review these books, with the Erie BOCES. I want to say it's between $7,000 and $10,000 a year. So we really want to make sure we're going to get into it, and know we're going to get into it and get it done in a year. We didn't make a year in this one. We're about a year and a half. So. Goals. I don't know how you would like to just pull them up. Each of the people, we can talk about them individually. Randy, never got on your computer? You just noticed?
I'm done borrowing off me.
Okay. Would it be easier just have each person go over theirs, or what do people like? Because I don't agree to.
I think that would be good.
I don't have my business manual.
Okay, they are under.
They're on the
Sheet, okay. All right, I'll start with mine first. Obviously, the first thing that I had put on is the evaluation. I have started on the other part of the administrative staff, just finished Mr. Daniels today, gave him his. So I will pick up those other people. The bus garage, the cafeteria, and get those done within the end of the month. As far as the teachers, we are in the process of learning the new iObservation process. They are going to their training tomorrow for I go October 1st. So we do have a new system, we just don't know how to use it.
So when you said you reviewed with John, you reviewed goals with John, or you did an
An
evaluation?
evaluation job.
So was this evaluation based on goals that we already established with you?
It's,
or-
it's based on the form that was created by the district. It's
Okay.
probably part of that policy manual that has a few layers of text on it. But it really has to do with his daily functions.
Okay.
But it's something that the committee will want to look at as they go over these things.
Like I said, I didn't know if you, at some point in the year, if you said, I mean, a lot of work was done with these staff members, saying these are the kind of the things that we see meeting for this year, and John may come up with some goals himself, you know, around the building, et cetera, and I don't know if that's kind of what you review and evaluating just as original goals, or if you went through that type of process, or we're more of an operational.
They don't set goals, only the principals, myself, and teachers actually will this year be creating their own personal growth goals through the new observation system. So what we've always been able to say before is by April, we have all the teachers evaluated. We'll be lucky if we're saying by June 20th, we will have all the teachers evaluated and their forms done. It's just very different this year, very complex. One of the things that's going to take place is for a tenured teacher, they will either have 3 walkthroughs or 3 walkthroughs, which are 15 minutes each, or 3 walkthroughs and a formal. Tenured teachers get a formal observation, takes 45 minutes every 3 years now. So we figure you're looking at least 90 minutes per tenured person. For non-tenured people, they get 2 45-minute observations plus 3 walkthroughs. And the 3 is minimum of 3, they can have more. So we've doubled basically our evaluation process because of the APPR and the amount of time spent on each observation. Hopefully our negotiations, we've been working with both units. Both of the committees are doing very well. We have one meeting on the 1st and one meeting on the 16th. I hate to say maybe we'll be finished on both of those dates, but it's looking positive, so that's favorable. Professional development, obviously, as it comes up, we are mandated to attend a variety of things. A lot of the stuff, I think Michelle and I went to 7 or 8 things last year just on the APPR. So as things come up, we go to those. One of the goals I did add was quarterly contact the newspaper for PR reasons. Purposes, positive public relations, so I will make sure that I take care of that. With Becky here, obviously we have a lot to learn together and help her through some of our operations and financial things, and then work through the budget together. And we will have to start early to go through that. She and I as a team. The administrative council, we meet on quarterly basis with all the administrative people, and a member of each unit comes together. There's about 10 or 11 of us in the room. We sit down, we talk about the year, what's going on, we talk about safety things, and we do take minutes and notes. We've had our first one. Our labor management committee, and I think it's Tom and Randy are on that committee, also meets 4 times a year. So I facilitate both those committees. I also got the job this year of taking over the extended day program, and I took it out of the laps of the principals. So I will be overseeing that. And 8, working cooperatively with the board to enhance the district. And then last is just collaboratively the budget with everyone. The joint goals that are obviously very important for us, the 3 of us administrators to work on, would be to introduce the new evaluation system with the teachers to work it through, to get the kinks out. It's going to be a very painful year for everyone, I think, with the system, until we all get used to it. Also, last year we talked a lot about the network team. That's a team that we used in-house to train our staff through the beginning stages of learning the Common Core, the standards, a variety of things that we will, as needed, bring that committee back up to keep us on top of the race to the top and the APPR. And basically just to create a collaborative team, the 3 of us. It would be be nice to think that some years we will have 3 administrators and a business manager for 1 full year and a term the next year, because that hasn't happened in my 4 years yet. We've had at least 1 new person each year, initially in June. So that's my hope.
Keep working already.
Yep, see?
Yeah. There you go.
I saw that.
Alright. Personal goal, be on time to meetings 95% of the time.
Look, only 95%.
What's that?
Look, only 95%.
You never know when something's gonna come up, Randy. I tried to use that excuse for 2 years, but I think I'll be on better on time. No, actually, I think being down here makes a difference from there to here, actually, and being in the loop, but that is my goal.
I shouldn't say anything, should
Well, I never thought of that, Randy, actually.
The board self-evaluation is coming right out.
Yeah.
Professional development in the areas of mastery of the new programs being incorporated into our daily operations of school tool odyssey, where e-doctrine is another one we haven't thrown out there for you yet, and I-observation. And then those are the things that I want to be the go-to type person. Increasing familiarity with the following programs: Castle Learning, Star Reading and Math, Safe Schools, and Read Naturally, which are other things that are all new. Castle Learning is not new, except for we had to redo the contract, and nobody knew where the information came from to set up student accounts. So I have now become the Castle Learning Queen too, as far as learning that stuff. Budgetary goal: creatively look for programs that are cost effective yet meet the needs of our troubled students, and programs that expose our total population to cultural experiences they might not otherwise experience. And the last thing, collecting evidence for evaluation purposes and documenting consistently information concerning discipline issues pertaining to staff and students. I guess my other personal one would be to pick up my iPad instead of picking up my pen and paper when I start to go to a meeting. And I'm really working hard on that one, actually. And everybody laughs at me, but I truly am working hard on that one.
I think I'm trying to convince you to not.
So you can go to that conference and get started.
Not actually, well, the one particularly shared one would be integrating I-observation in the evaluation of teaching staff. That includes teaching staff themselves learning I-observation, so it's a collaborative effort, and layered on top of a new evaluation system really does make for an interesting challenge. But not one that people are not capable of handling. I have a lot of faith in our staff. The elementary staff is also challenged, and therefore I've challenged myself with aligning our reading curriculum and instruction across K through 6 to reflect current best practices and to improve student reading skills. We do have a BOCES reading coach, and we have educational software programs, and we actually have sort of a research-based model that we're trying to slowly implement across the grade levels. It won't look exactly the same in K as it does in 6, but there's a tremendous amount of reading research about what works to make strong readers, and that's going to represent a big shift in how some classrooms are run, but not such a big shift in how our reading classrooms are run. Also, ensuring the alignment of math instruction with the Common Core state standards, scope and sequence. New York State adopted the Common Core, and then in late July, after everyone had ordered their textbooks, reconfigured the scope and sequence, so that now even our Common Core aligned textbooks are no longer aligned with the scope and sequence. They're aligned, they've got what they need, but the chapters aren't in order. So that's, maddening, to say the least. Brand new special language for the math instruction. there's all sorts of, sort of things we don't yet know that you can't skip over, because as students accumulate knowledge of math instruction over the grade levels, they have expectations of what math instruction is gonna look like. So that's, fortunately, we have also got a math specialist there, and she's, actually both the BOCES specialists are, I think, going to be fantastic resources. They are people who wear that hat, come in, go in, they're already trusted, they're already, people are signing up to use their services, they are rational voices, so.
Just for a minute, Amy, where do they come from? The
BOCES.
BOCES specialists?
Where do they come from?
Yeah, how did we sign up for them?
Yes.
Is it a program?
It's through grant.
Okay.
It's through our title monies.
Okay,
It's another thing that we have to add because of Race to the Top.
right, okay.
That $10,000 that we've spent 18 times over now.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, when you look at some of the, not to interrupt you, but when you look at, our school tool having changed to meet with the Race to the Top, our e-doctriner, our I-observation, our STAR, our Read Naturally, all those are new programs because of the APPR and the mandates of having, scientifically based evidence. But the staff is getting it all crammed in 1 year. I mean, we're not the only school, but it's just, that's why we keep saying, people are stressed right now. It's been very difficult.
Well, I'm glad you have it.
The silver lining is that they're all great resources.
They
really
are.
are.
They're excellent.
I mean, you could not decide to have such a massive shift in education with the resources available. I couldn't dream of a better situation. Those are my big goals, because I can't have much more than that. But I joked a few times that I said, when I had ACL, reconstructive surgery, I said, the best way to get past that is just to remember when you're in the middle of the pain, that in about 2 weeks, it won't feel that way anymore, and everything will start to go back to normal. And today was the first time that I thought, because I had this little baby bottle morphine drip that immediately went straight to the source. I said, today is the day the morphine drip stopped. And I keep telling myself, the days of walking normally will come back, but for some reason today was the day it all just hit hard for me.
Yeah. Of course.
That's right, slow.
So does anyone have any questions about any of the goals? Or do you understand?
Do you feel that this evaluation is possible with the number of staff? You said it almost quadrupled in time for each staff person. I see 3 times more work and no more staff. Is that realistic?
We'll tell you in June.
If they make it.
Well,
We'll let you know.
they're famous for adding more stuff to your payroll and saying thank you very much, but this sounds like it's a very large project.
It is.
Are the teachers dealing with it as far as, some of them who are, may not embrace change as well as others, have got to be really stressed on this.
We actually had extremely veteran, excellent teachers that said, I don't know if I want to teach anymore last year when all this started coming down and we were going to the meetings, and it was a real eye-opener for people. It's a major shift in education. And ultimately, when we get there, I think there'll be a lot of positives from it. It's just a lot too fast. And we don't have a say in that. But I do think there will be, eventually you will see change, positive change.
Some people make the comment too, well, 5 years, it won't be, we'll move on. I don't think this is a 5-year in and out type thing. I think that the direction that we're moving, based on the fact that education is becoming science-based practice, that people are researching what works, what doesn't work, it's much more than just a fly-by-night decision. So, and it's not that DEI is new, but I think the stakes are bigger now,
Well, it's
to how it
mandated now.
ties in. Well, it's not a new concept, but it's something that should have been being used, and now that the research is supporting, you have to have this. I don't think there's any going back to put your head in the sand and not look at it. Lynn said more teachers have come to her guidance this year to look for historical data on kids than have ever been. So how do you teach your kids if you don't know where they're coming from, and where they're starting from, and where you need to move with them? And that's what I think this movement is truly about.
Is there anything else before we go into executive session? Can I have a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing employment history of a particular person or matters leading to the appointment or employment of a particular person, disciplinary results of the superintendent hearing, and the BOE self-evaluation. Correct?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Executive
I
session.
can collaborate with you on taking the signs and changing.
8:05.